This podcast was recorded on Gubby Gubby land and pays respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Welcoming Sarah to the podcast. Very, very much looking forward to this normal conversation. We jumped on like a call last week preparing for a course that Sarah's running, and I'm doing a guest call in there, and we were just like chatting and we were like, holy shit, like we need to get on a fucking podcast. So here we
Yeah.
are. Um, I would just love for you to like introduce yourself. Who are you?
All right. Well, I'm Sarah. So on Instagram at Coach by Says, if anyone knows me. So I am a personal trainer. I've been doing that for 18 months in person. And then I'm also an online fitness coach. So I've got my clients online on an app. We do like our training programs, do nutrition, we do habits, like all the things that comes with it. And that is my own business, that one, which I started. When did I launch it? July last year, 2023. So that's pretty much me and what I do.
Amazing. Do you find that you like do a lot of like limiting belief work with clients as well? It's not just like the physical, or how do you feel like your like approach is?
I was gonna say I don't think I intentionally do
Mm,
it, but I actually was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, people coming to PT, like obviously like in person, it's a lot easier for this, but when they come to PT, I'm like, it's kind of like a mini therapy session.
mm,
I don't intentionally do anything, but I'm very good at reading people.
yeah.
And I know, like, I've had a few people that walk in and I'm just straight away like, okay, what's wrong? What's going on? And then, like, they might get teary, start crying. They're like, holy shit, like, how did you know that? I'm like, okay, like, let's talk through it. Like, we're still going to work and still do the session. But I'm like, I don't know, I can just see when someone needs to pull back a bit.
Mm,
And
yeah.
like, yes, I don't intentionally, but depending on the vibe when they
Mm.
come in,
Yeah,
I do, yeah, draw on a lot of experience as well to kind of help through whatever they're going through.
I
Yeah.
love that. And I feel like a lot of the time you would probably face like women who are like, this is an assumption I'm making, but like probably women who are like, they've finally said yes to themselves. They've finally said yes to a PT. So they think they have to like literally go so hard that they're throwing away like every part of themselves, that has fun attached to it kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's really cool that you're just like, okay, let's like actually talk about this and not like just keep on. I don't know. I feel like sometimes people just need to be told like, okay, we can be like have goals, we can have all these ambitions, but we also still need to like keep a part of ourselves like alive in that like maybe you
Yeah.
still go out on the weekend or like whatever it is. And I just love how you brought that in because it's so important.
Yeah. And I was going to say, so I didn't say before, I only trained women. It's a women's only studio. So yeah, only women. Um, but it is a lot of that. And I find like for me, I definitely I'm very good at conversation whilst training. And I think it's really refreshing. And I think for me, it's from a place of when I used to train at F45. I loved it, but there was like one trainer and she just fucking like it was not even one-on-one, like it's a group class, and the way that she would like go at me, like, come on, keep going, like go harder. And I'm like sitting there, like so much was going on in my head with work at the time, like it was really stressful. And she was just like yelling at me, and I just thought I would fucking hate to be that person to someone else. So I'm really big on like, actually, let's look at your life and let's see what we can do. And like I've even talked like people down from 3 sessions to two because I'm like, you're always exhausted. Like, we're not progressing. Like, what's going on in your life? What else do you do? And then I find out they're doing XYZ every single day. Like, they're actually not recovering. And I'm like, okay, like, you actually need to, like, we'll take away 1 session a week and then we'll just go from there. Like, just strip it back. And I said, and don't fill that time with other exercise or anything else. Just do something for you. Have a restful night, recovery, and see how it goes. And this was like months ago.
Yeah.
And this particular client I'm thinking about, she's like a new person in a good way. Like she always comes in on time. She gives her best in the session. Like she's just, I can tell she's not as stressed, and she's just a whole new person.
I love that. And that's such a holistic approach. Like, I just like
Mm,
actually adore that so much. And when you're like speaking into that, I can like apply it to my work in like with the menstrual cycle. And it's like a lot of women, it's not that they aren't like a lot of women think that they need to do more and fit more into their schedule and, blah, blah, blah. But actually, what they need to do is learn how to actually rest and productively rest as well, like
yeah.
not necessarily like resting by like scrolling TikTok, but like actually run yourself a fucking bath, light some candles, and just like chill out. You're
Hmm.
going to see way better results in like your fitness in all areas of your life because you're allowing your nervous system to actually like take a fucking break and not
Yeah.
be like in this like hyper like go 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 energy. And when we're constantly putting our body under stress, like that F45 trainer, for example, the way she was like
Mm,
constantly like, making you go harder. And like, yes, of course, you want someone to push you, but you also need to, your own limit. And like, that can be very shameful for a lot of people and turn into like
yeah.
a very like harsh, restrictive cycle in like, they think they're not good enough. They think they're not pushing hard enough. And like, leaving unconsciously going like fuck I can't like eat because I didn't train hard enough and like things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you when you know your own limit, like I just completely lost my train of thought. That was so weird.
No, that
I
happens to me
literally
all the time.
I
No,
literally
but
am
I was
like,
going to, I was like, I actually had a quick point to make though. And like, I just want to say that at this point when I was training there, I was there 6, 7 times a week
yeah.
because it was like, I was very stressed and I was like, that was kind of like my place to go. And like, I could put my phone down and I would just be in this moment and not think about anything else. I
Yeah.
feel like I didn't have great coping mechanisms back then, but I was like, I'm just showing up like that's a lot for me. And
Mm,
then for her to like be like yelling at me, I was like, I actually one day, oh my God, I just remembered one day I actually went to the bathroom and cried.
wow.
I was like, I actually like can't do
Yeah.
this. Mm,
And like see like the effects of that had on you like that, and like even to remember that, right, like it kind of just is like that actually left like something there for you. And like yes, you've taken the lesson from it to not be that person,
mm,
because that's what I was going to say, like when we're under that like stress all the fucking time, like movement should be like a time to like, yeah, get off your phone and chill out, not a time to like put your body through like copious amounts of stress. And of course, if you're
mm.
training for like a fucking marathon or something, like different story, right? But like when we are constantly under stress in all areas of our life, like that is actually where chronic disease manifests. So it's like
Yeah.
it's actually so much more important to rest than like people realize. And like I said, it's not about like the TikTok scroll and things like that because you're still stimulating your body, you're still raising your cortisol levels. Like we don't want that. That's not rest. Um,
Mm, yeah.
and it's also not about going to that, like swinging the pendulum and just laying on the couch like all day and being like, I'm
Yeah.
resting or like I'm on my bleed. Like I have to lay down and do fucking nothing. Like it's not about
Yeah.
that, but it's just like finding that balance.
Yeah. And it's so funny you say that because actually no, we'll go into this later on. I was like, I know there's another question where I'll bring it up, so don't
Yeah.
hold
Um,
that thought.
let's like jump in with with this season, everyone listening, my new like question, I've changed it a little bit, and I want to ask the guests like share your most like unexpected like challenge that you've faced with your period or like your most embarrassing story or like whatever comes straight to your mind. So I would absolutely love to hear what you've got, Sarah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, I mean, full disclosure, we spoke about this already, but when I was a teenager, I don't remember when I got my period actually the first time. I was maybe 15. I was not like an early one. I was
Oh
like
my
maybe
God,
15,
I was a
16.
late bloomer too.
Yeah. And I remember people like when they were like 12, they're like, oh my God, I got my period. And I was like, oh, what's that? Like, what's going on here? Anyway, 15 or 16, I would say. And I would get it every 3 weeks, like 21 days on the dot. Like the first few times I was like, weird. And then it was every single time. And I was like, that's not right. We can't, like, that's just something's wrong here. And then I actually had started dating someone at this point. So classic, went on the pill. That was just like the answer to everything back then when I was 17. Um, and was on it for 6 years. Decided to come off it because I realized I was very fucking depressed and like anxious, and I was having really, really bad mood swings. And I was like, something is just wrong. inside. I'm like, I don't know what it is. Something's wrong. And that was the only thing I was, I guess, taking at the time, like
Yeah.
the contraceptive pill. So I decided to come off it. And I was literally like terrified that I was going to go back to every 3 weeks. Because obviously on the pill, you've got every 28 days. Like it's,
Yeah.
that's what it is. Um, and I was terrified as well, also because I couldn't skip it anymore because I used to do that. I was like, I don't want my period, I'll just skip it. Anyway, came off the pill, long story short, never went back to 21 days.
Mm.
Been 28, actually 27 is my thing
Yeah.
now, but pretty much 28 days, like from the moment I came off it. And again, it's one of those things where everyone's like, you know, the pill is just a mask, and then you're gonna go straight back to how you were. And another point to that is when everyone's like, oh, I was reading all this stuff, like I didn't get my period for a year, for this long, for this, and I was like, holy shit, like I need to come off it now because what if I don't get it for that long and then I have to deal with something else? And then like it was a whole, like I was really like afraid to come off it. But I just went, nah, cold turkey. I was sick of feeling shit.
Yeah.
Came off it, 28-day cycles, literally straight away.
Yeah. And it's like the fear is going to be there because the lack of education is there, right? Like
Mm,
we don't understand actually like the like effects it can have on our body. So we are like, what if all of these things happen to me? Like you were a great case where like you kind of went straight into a normal cycle. Um,
yeah,
I know for me coming off the pill, I came off it for a similar reason because I was also on it for a long time. And like I also went because I got like my period a bit late. And then when I got it, it was every 2 weeks and it was like really
yeah,
heavy. And it's like
wow.
instead of allowing my body to just, when you're young, your body's still like figuring out how to cycle. Um, instead of just allowing that, it's like the doctor's like go on the pill, it's an irregular cycle, and
Yeah,
it's just like fucking of course you're gonna do that. And it's like we were saying this before, Sarah, like it's like a mask, like you're putting a mask on and you're just
yeah,
like you actually are a different person. And it's not to shame anyone who's like currently on the pill, but I just know from my own experience, and like you had like a similar story in that like I didn't realize how not myself I was until I came off the pill. Like I was
yeah.
crazy and I didn't realize how like my mood swings, my anger, like all the things. Yeah.
I remember one time I was making eggs and I like broke the yolk or something. I was making like Fridays something. I broke the yolk and I like lost it. I like threw the spatula and had a hissy fit and went to my room because I broke the yolk when I was cooking an egg.
Yeah.
And that was one of my points. Like when I thought about it later on, I was like, that was a bit dramatic. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. Hey. Um, and like when you come off of it, it's almost like this sense of like euphoria, if I will, like because
Mm,
you like feel
yeah,
things. It's like it numbs you almost. It's such a weird thing to describe, but I still remember coming off of it and being like, where have I been for this past like
yeah.
6 or however many years I was on the pill? Like, where have I actually been? But
Mm.
I was similar to you as well in that like I didn't necessarily have like major, complications when I came off of the pill. Um, but I went straight onto the IUD and it was like an IUD that was
Oh,
non-hormonal. But after further research, once it was inside of me, I realized that it can still actually like affect your hormones. And that's where I started getting like hormonal acne. And I've never, ever in my life been someone who, like, I've always been someone who everyone's like, your skin is so clear. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
That was like super hard because it was almost like an identity was like taken away from me of like, oh, she's
Mm.
always been the one with like the clear skin who's like never had to wear makeup. And then it was like, oh my God, now I'm like the girl with fucking acne. Are you kidding me? But
That's so interesting.
yeah,
Because I remember thinking the same thing. I never had acne, nothing. And I thought when I come up, I actually thought when I came up, I'm gonna like get breakouts and everything. I was like, I'm gonna have to deal with all this now.
yeah, yeah. It,
Yeah. Interesting.
it's so interesting. But that's the pill. We just get told that
Yeah.
like I can say for sure, like my mum and me, like there was no other way. Like I didn't know another way. I didn't know what the fuck cycle syncing
Mm.
was. I didn't know there was more than one phase of my cycle. Like,
Mm.
and I was actually interviewed the other day on someone else's like YouTube channel, and I was speaking about how like even the sex ed class at school, like that was actually just scary. It wasn't like
I don't even think we
educational.
had one.
I still remember I like in mine. in my sex ed class, I still remember that like they were talking about it and like it would actually gives me the ick, but like they were talking about like fucking like genital warts or something, right? And I literally
Okay.
feeling so sick. I actually started having a panic attack and had to run out and go to the sick bay.
Oh my God.
Freaked me out. I was like, it actually freaked me out so much. I was like, why are they telling me this? And I don't even like, you know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
it was like year 8, so we were like a bit older, but it was like
Hey.
class. I know.
Yeah. No. But I'm like, I do not remember ever even having one.
See, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so crazy. Um,
Mm.
Anyway, let's move into like what made you decide to just send it? Like start your study, like start your business, like actually just go like, you know what, fuck it. I don't want to just work a 9 to 5. Like I know that there's bigger and better things for me. Um, yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. All right. I was like, how to make a long story short. Um, Actually, this is actually the perfect place to bring this up. I was just thinking about it before. So when I came off the pill
Yeah.
it was June 2020 and July 2020 is when everything kind of started to happen for me, which I always forget the timing of that. But I think I always knew that I wanted to work for myself, right? So even like from, I don't know, how old was I? When I finished school, what was I, 17, 18? I remember I was like, I didn't really want to go to uni, but that was just like the thing. Go to uni, pick a what you want to do. And I was like, oh, I'll do nursing because whatever. Um, did a year of nursing, fucking hated it. And then I was like, I'll try the second year. Did a few weeks and I was like, nah, fuck this. I was like, nursing is just something that you have to love to do it. And I was like, everyone around me loved it. And I was just like, I fucking don't. I hate this. I'd rather not be here. So took that next year off. And then I actually did a makeup course.
Hmm.
So qualified makeup artist over here. But again, I was like, didn't really know what to do with it. I was like, I like the idea that like I can kind of work for myself kind of thing. But then again, did nothing with it. So the year after, I did a travel course. It's very random. It's very like you'll see the how it goes on. But did a travel course, same thing, because I was like, I want to be able to kind of work for myself and be able to travel. That was always what I realize now, like my goals.
Yeah,
Work for
you're
myself and
looking for
travel.
those two things. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that got me into my first 9 to 5 actually. Not as a travel agent, but like doing like admin documentation stuff for a travel company. And that was just a contract job. So it was about no, it ended up being 9 months. And then that was done. And then of course I had to find a new job. Found a new job October. This is October 2019. So like just right before COVID, like this is where I'm like prefacing it. October 2019, within like the first few weeks, I was like, fuck, I hate this. Again, it was a 9 to 5. It was, and I was like, this is the most fucking boring thing ever. And there would be people that I worked with and they were like, oh yeah, I've been here for 20 years, 25 years. And I remember thinking, fuck that. I
Yeah.
was like, there is no way I'm
Yeah.
doing that. And I literally quit. I was like, I'll give it some time. After 3 months, I quit,
Yeah.
right? So this was January. I gave them an end date. So January 2020, I gave them an end date of May 2020 because at the time I was dating um not my current boyfriend, a different one. And we were going to go to the UK to live for 6 months. Again, it's that travel thing. I was like, I just want to go like be somewhere else kind of thing. Then COVID hit. So we went into lockdown March 2020.
You're in Melbourne.
And yeah, sorry, yeah, I'm in Melbourne. So
Yeah,
we
so
had
it
it
was
bad.
like the worst lockdowns. Yeah.
Yeah. So March 2020, um, so started working from home. I still was finishing in May. There was no like changing it. I was like, I can't even do this at home. Like it's that boring. I was like, I really fucking hate this job so much.
And it's so
Um,
funny. I just want to like butt in there and just say, like,
yeah,
some people search for that. They search for that numb feeling, to go to work and it's just boring. And then they can go home, not think about it, or go home and still think about it because it's their whole fucking life. Whereas it literally shows just from having that thought of like, there's more for me. that like you are an expensive person. Do you know what I mean? And it's like
Mm.
this is a really cool message for anyone listening who's working a job right now where there are the older women in there going, "Oh, I've been at this for 30 years." And like,
Oh,
you hear that and you think like, "Oh my fucking God, I don't want to be that." Like this is your permission slip, this whole, and like I'll
yeah.
go into my story after you share yours, Sarah, because it
Mm.
sounds kind of similar of like
Mm.
fucking go for it. Like,
Yeah.
actually, what are you doing? Like, if you're bored,
Yeah.
like you're spending your entire life bored. Think about how many
Mm.
fucking hours you work. And like,
Right?
it's just like, just fucking take the risk. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, no, but I was gonna say it's like I never like really knew that like there was, sorry, quotation marks, there was more for me. But I was just like, I just can't do this. And I think I've always been big on like, don't tell me what to do,
Mm,
which it's just I hate that like if I'm gonna do something, but then you tell me to do it, I'm not gonna do it. Do you know what I mean? Like I just hate being told what to do. So anyway, this we're in lockdown. I finished that job May 2020. Obviously did not go overseas. Like COVID, we were yeah, deep in lockdown. Um, and then maybe it was all that time at home on my own where I started to feel like realize all my symptoms of like I'm feeling really depressed, mood swings, everything. And then maybe that's where I started playing into like, maybe I should come off the pill. And like if I'm not working, if something like if it happens, I'm locked down, like no one can see me. It's like I
mm,
can deal with it while I'm in lockdown. So I think that was kind of my turning point to come off it. So June 2020, I came off the pill. July 2020, I was still experiencing like all these things. I remember I went to the doctors just to ask for like a blood test. And he was like, "Oh, like, why do you want it?" And I just like broke down, had like a panic attack, like just crying my eyes out. Like, and I was like, I don't know what's happening right now in my body. I was just this, never met this doctor before, first time ever. And I just like lost it.
yeah.
And that kind of like catapulted into a few things of like, let's look at depression, anxiety, all the things. We ruled out depression, which I knew. I was like, I know I'm not depressed. Like, that's not it. But it was a big thing with the anxiety. Um, and then that's when I actually, Georgie Stevenson?
Yeah.
Yeah. She had like released her Rise and Conquer course, like the first one. And I was like, fuck it. Like, I'll give this a go. And that's when I first started journaling and like actually thinking about like what life could be. Like her questions, like very like thought provoking and like just even down to like what does your day, like ideal day look like and what is your ideal life and like what do you do for work? And like even doing that, I was like, I still don't know like the actual work aspect, but I know what I want kind of like my life
Yeah.
to
The
look like, if
feeling,
that makes
like the
sense.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah. So I'm still trying to figure out like what I want to do. I had at this point played into like nutrition. I actually found in my emails, so cute. Like 2019, I had done like nutrition plans for like my friends, like just like because
Cute.
I'd lost a lot of weight myself. And they were just like, oh, like, can you help me? And I was like, okay, like I'll put something together. Like you don't have to use it, but here you go. And I found those in my emails, 2019. I'm like, wow, that's when that all started. But to come back to where we're up to, 2020, I ended up ditching that boyfriend. That's a whole fuck story. I won't go into it now. Um, Moved like to a completely different area. Like it was like I was starting afresh. And
Hmm.
it wasn't planned to be all at the same time. That's just how it kind of happened.
Yeah.
And when we eventually came out of lockdown the end of that year, that's where I was like, I need a gym. My F45 was having like a 3-week sale. I was like, great, that'll time me over to the new year. Then I can find something and go from there. But I stayed at the F45. I made some very good friends there. One of my best friends still to this day, she was a coach there. And I remember thinking, fuck, the trainers have so much fun. I was
Mm.
like, this could be something like I could do. And at this point I had started a new like 9 to 5 job, but it was all work from home. So it was all good there in that department. And I was like, you know what? I might just start studying my cert 3 and 4 in fitness, see where it kind of goes. Like, might not do anything out of it, but I was like, even if like I can just do some classes on the side of like figuring out what I want to do.
Mm.
And
I love how you like follow your intuition in that,
yeah.
you know, you've done like really random things. It's like the spark has dropped in for you and you've actually followed it. And I fucking guarantee, even in 5 years' time, like even working at that travel job and like doing all these random things, the makeup, like even when you said that to me, I
Yeah.
was like, babe, like run a fucking retreat and do like a fitness retreat, but like do their fucking makeup and get photos. Like, are you kidding? Like you could literally blend it all
Yeah.
together. Like it doesn't even have to be like that you've done this and then you've done this. Like you can actually bring all the skills together. And that's the coolest thing, like as you would
Mm,
know about having your own business, is there's actually no like limitations. It's only what we put on
yeah.
ourselves.
It's actually so funny you say that because one of my clients messaged me the other day, because I used to work with her, so she knows that I do makeup, and she was like, "Oh, are you still doing makeup?" And I was like I'm not. Like I hadn't even thought about it in years. I was just like, no, like I'm not.
Mm,
But like I'm like I could,
yeah. Yeah.
but I don't know. I just don't have all the stuff anymore. But anyway, um, I totally forgot where I was up to.
You, you,
Oh, we're in 2021, early 2021. It took me a year to do my Cert 3, so fast track to 2022. I was still working at that same office job. It was pretty shit. I had, again, I had actually quit this one. I was like, I don't have anything else. And I quit because I was like, I can't fucking do this.
yeah.
Long story short, I ended up staying there part time. I got a new boss. She was like, pretty much, what do you want? What can I do to keep you? How many days will you work? Blah, blah, blah. Because she knew I was studying on the side as well. And she's the reason I stayed there for longer than I did. But it definitely worked out for the better because, like I said, I was quitting with nothing.
Yeah.
And she kind of gave me like that safety net of you can still work here, but you can still do your studies and do whatever. So I was like, cool, I can do part-time in the office and then the other days working in fitness,
Yeah.
like group classes, whatever. And then September 20, no, July 2022. So I had my Cert 3. So for anyone that doesn't know, Cert 3 in fitness, you can do group classes, but then you have to do Cert 4 to do one-on-one personal training. So I'd done my Cert 3. I was still doing my Cert 4. I was doing my nutrition. I was working, doing all the things. And then there was a job opportunity at a studio near my office. So again, this is like, if I didn't work at this job, I probably wouldn't be working where I am now. So this studio was near my office, and someone I actually followed on Instagram, she worked there and she posted, like, we're looking for a group trainer, blah, blah, blah. And again, I felt fucking sick, but I was like, fuck it, just message her.
Yeah.
I was like, it's just a message. So I was like, hey, like, I've got my Cert 3, interested, blah, blah, blah. And then she called me and she was like, yep, come in, like, test some classes, see if you like it, all the things. A few months later, I started working there, September 2022. Started working there. So I was doing both the jobs, the office and the group fitness. Come January 2023, so literally like just over a year ago, I had finally finished my Cert 4, left the office, started PTing. I was fully immersed in kind of like the fitness industry now, but full time in the fitness industry is not full time in other industries because it's a very like physically demanding
Yeah.
job, which I feel like unless you do it, you don't really think about how much it takes from you. And again, it's me being like, I'll be like, oh, I only worked like 5 or 6 hours today. Why am I so tired? But it's like, actually, you've been up since like 4:30 and you've been fucking lifting heavy weights all morning.
I've actually thought about it because like I remember when I was like on my journey of like, there's more for me and like whatever, like which I'll get into, but like I knew I wanted to do something with like health and like, supporting women. And I remember like
Mm,
contemplating for a short amount of time, oh, what about like PT? Because you can just sort of do like the Cert 4 or whatever, it's just on the side. Like it's kind of just
mm,
like, and this was prior to like it being like, I feel like now the coaching industry is very like, and we've had this conversation, Sarah, where it's like
yeah.
everyone's a fucking PT and everyone's fucking just copying each
Mm,
other. Whereas I do feel like you're very different in that and like how you work in person with people still. And you're just like, it's a fucking part of my journey, which I
I
fucking just love
fucking
that
love
about
it.
you.
Yeah.
But I remember like thinking about that as like a potential like thing to do and thinking, Tanika, there's absolutely no fucking way that you will lift weights for like more than an hour a day. Like, get
Yeah.
over yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. It's very, yeah. And I still like struggle to give myself credit for it.
Mm,
I'm like, you're actually exhausted. And I'm like, but I didn't do much today. Like, but I did.
Let's actually get into this conversation. Just
Yeah.
like I feel like it's going to branch off really cool.
Mm,
I feel like a massive limitation, like I've faced myself, you're speaking into right now, is when you work for yourself, when you run your own business, it actually looks differently to how we've been conditioned it should look, right?
hmm
What have been your biggest like limitations or blind spots in this time that you've worked for yourself? Do you think that like you've created where when you actually like bring light to it and realize it's not real, it's allowed you to sort
Yeah.
of move?
Something that like just came to mind when you said like something that I've kind of created that wasn't real is making things harder than they need to be. Because it's like I'm starting my own business. Like, yes, like again, we've talked about there's definitely like you need to hustle like at the start, but it's also like you don't need to make things harder
Yeah.
than they should be. And that I think that's something that I've always done because I've always been work very hard and like
Like work hard,
what's the
play hard.
expression? Yeah, but it's what am I looking for? It's trading time for money.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah,
always been like you have to work like very, very hard if you want to earn some money.
yeah.
Like that's
I
always just been yeah, what I've been conditioned.
I can so agree. And like I've had a few different like angles of this story as well. I remember the first time I properly saw it was when I was in like a mentorship thing with India Vine, and like she brought to my attention, you have a really unhealthy relationship with sacrifice. Um, it was actually in her
Mm,
like expansion membership thing that she has. And like we asked questions, it was like a, hot seat coaching thingy. And I was like,
yeah.
oh my God, because I believed I had to sacrifice to make money,
hmm
sacrifice time, sacrifice my relationships, sacrifice joy, sacrifice fun, fucking sacrifice. I literally believed that like if I didn't sacrifice, I would not be earning money. And I made that so real that if I was in a time where I felt abundant in like, and this is still something like, if I'm going to be honest, I'm still working on this because it's so
Yeah.
deeply embedded in my fucking like DNA that I have to be struggling and then I receive money. Like it's like this, like you have to be in this like pit of like, I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired, I have no time, and that's when the money comes in. Whereas like moving out of that, it's a fucking like big thing to move out of and to rewrite those beliefs, sorry. And so I can like completely agree with that part, but also with Tay, like my mentor, like you work with Tay as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she's brought to my attention probably 10 times, I reckon I've brought it in. And like she'll just be like, stop making it harder than it is. Like, what if business actually was just easy for you, Tanika? And it's like, oh my God. Like, I think it took her like probably 5 times of saying that it actually, like hit me of like,
Yeah.
holy shit,
Yeah.
I actually am like a very intelligent person and I'm not allowing myself to be. I'm pretending that like it's really hard and actually creating problems where it doesn't actually have to be hard.
Mm,
And it's
yeah.
like, we've watched generations before us, even like our partners, work really, really hard and earn really good money and like, own the house and like own the car and things like that. But we've only ever seen it through the lens of work hard and
Yeah.
sacrifice to get there. So it's
Yeah.
actually like a whole new fucking paradigm when you actually just like
hmm
lean it to like, oh, but what if I actually got to do both?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's something that again I'm still working on, but also recently I've I don't know who I said this to. I was like, I feel like because I've scaled back a little bit on my in person, just because it was just too much to do, everything I was doing there, plus my own business. I've scaled back a little bit, but I'm still there 3 or 4 times a week. And even though I've scaled it back, I was like, I feel like I'm not working as hard, but like things are starting to flow.
Mm,
And I really kind of sit with that and I'm like, and I don't know if I feel like money's a bit of a taboo thing, but it's like when I get paid for the week, I'm like, oh, like I remember like at a point last year, I was like, I'm fucking like exhausted, grinding, barely making ends meet. And I was like, and just this year, I'm coming into like, okay, I've not been as exhausted,
Yeah.
but like I am starting to like things feel flowy.
Mm.
Like definitely, yeah, I want things to grow, but I'm like it feels flowy and it feels good. And it's
Yeah.
still weird to sit with. And I'll often say to my partner, I'm like, oh, I feel really good today. And I'm like, and look at this. And I'll show him like, oh, like, this is what I'm getting this week, or like this is kind of like how I like what I've done for work and like all the things that come together. And I'm like, and it feels really, really flowy, really
Yeah.
good.
And allowing
Mm,
yourself, I feel like another thing is like when you run your own business, it is an extension of you, right? Like it actually is
mm,
when you run a business like this, even a product-based business, I feel like it's still an extension of you. And it's like
yeah.
if you're not caring for you and allowing yourself to have that downtime, like we were even speaking about at the start of this episode, like then it's like you're frying the fucking battery, right? Like it's like you're never allowing it to just like it's like you're leaving your car running constantly.
Yeah.
You're never turning it off.
Yeah.
Never even turning it off. And it's going to blow up. It's going to happen, right? Like for humans, it results in burnout. And like in your business, it results in no fucking results because it's so go, 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 go that there's no chance
Yeah.
for it to be in that feminine receiving energy. And even
Mm,
just this past months, like past few months, look at how much you've traveled. And like you're literally
yeah.
saying, like you have like, last year, hustle, hustle, hustle. And like I'm not at all discrediting the hustle because I love the hustle. It's about working with the hustle in a productive way. But
Yeah.
you've taken that little step back, but instead of filling that gap and going, oh, what else do I have to do? Actually kind of allowing that spaciousness there. And you've actually traveled so much.
Yeah. And it does come back to that thing of like my business is an extension of me and looking after myself. And I'm like the last, I don't know how many months I have been so consistent with my training. I have been so consistent with, you know, getting as much sleep as I can. Again, it does help that I've scaled back a bit. I don't have as many 4:30 wake ups, which is nice. Um, and consistent with nutrition and like just all the things and actually like looking after myself and like taking time for myself.
Yeah.
And A, it allows me to be more productive, but I'm like, B, I'm in a better state. Like my nervous system isn't so fucking fried.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I've taken that time for myself
Yeah.
and then I can give from there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's something that like every successful business owner in the coaching industry and personal development industry always
Mm,
preaches. Take care of yourself, make promises to yourself and keep them, and your business results are going to be more than you can even imagine. And it's like you kind of hear it and you're like, sure. Or you could play into the story of
yeah.
like, but my, uncle owns a successful business and drinks beer every afternoon and doesn't fucking care for himself. Like, why do I? But as soon as you actually take care of yourself and do those things and have those routines, and it's not necessarily like every single day, like I think people can get it wrong in like every
Mm,
single day you have to eat like organic, perfect meals. Like
yeah. No.
it's actually okay to splurge. Like fuck, eat out like once a week or like whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Find your own balance. And I think that's really important too. But it's actually like the hack
Mm.
is like
But I think, yeah, no, I was going to say like the whole like people think you have to be like the same every day. I think it's do it in alignment
mm,
with your values. That is
yeah,
the big thing
yeah,
because then obviously you're doing things in integrity. Like if imagine if I was saying, clients go to the gym this many times a week and eat this, and then I don't go to the gym, I don't prioritize any resting, like I just eat shit every day. Like that's not, it's just icky. Like
yeah,
I don't,
it is.
that's
And people
yeah.
feel it in the energy. And this is like why I always preach like cycle syncing, like working with your
Mm,
cycle phases to like support you in this because it isn't
yeah.
about the same thing every day. Like literally during the like our pre-period week and on our period, our hormones are like our hormones that like give us the energy to go and do things and like, get things done, they're really low. So you actually like on a,
Yeah.
hormonally, you don't actually have it there. And it's not to say that you can't be motivated and you can still harness the energy of um being in that like lower ebb, I guess, right? Like the ebb and
Yeah.
flow. You can still
Yeah.
harness that. You can definitely still harness that and like work with that and get heaps of shit done. It's not about like completely stopping, but that's why I always love like educating women on their cycle because we aren't going to feel the same every day. Like men go through what we go through in like the 28 days, they do that in the 24-hour cycle.
Yeah.
Like literally, like that's the circadian rhythm. And although we have the circadian rhythm, we also like go by like the infradian rhythm, which is like our menstrual cycle. So it's like, and
Yeah.
this is even for women who, you might not bleed, you might be on the pill, you might be like, insert your thing. We're still cyclical, and it's really important to, I find it's makes it a lot more easier when you're trying to land in a place of balance and, feeling really good in yourself to understand your hormones or your cycle so that you're not going into the shame spiral of last week I was motivated and I got up at 6 and I went for a run and then like the next week you're like I slept in and I didn't go for a run and I feel like shit. It's like when you understand that like just being a woman comes with that and you can kind of adjust
Yeah.
your life to it. It's changes so much.
And it's something that has sparked in my mind when you said that was when I was at F45, I didn't know anything about this. And I would be like, one week I can do 7 sessions. The next week I can barely make it through while I'm there. And I had no idea. And I was like, always shaming myself. I
Yeah.
could do this last week. Why can't I do it this week?
Yeah.
And then
I
it would lead me into that spiral of I didn't work hard enough today. Like it was just, yeah, shit.
I used to do beat-based cycling and it was like at like this really sick studio here on the coast and I actually miss it. I want to go back, but I had to cancel my membership there because I found myself nothing on like the trainers or the studio or anything like they're incredible people, but I found myself doing the same thing of how come because it's like it's like hit classes. So it's like, how
Mm.
come, 1 week of the month I can sit in front center and be like a fucking boss bitch at this, and then like the
Yeah.
next week I'm like sitting at the back, and then I'm like looking at everyone, I'm like, oh my God, I look like shit. Like I'm usually good. Like, it's because our hormones are like, bitch, slow the fuck down.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I just think it's like so important to have that education, like you said, because and I've seen like so many of my friends as well. It's like that shame spiral, like you're on the hamster wheel, like you feel really good, then you're like, am I depressed? Like, do I have like bipolar? It's like, no, you just don't
Mm.
understand your cycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was me before I understood it as well. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
Yeah. Yeah. I love like that. It's like, I think it's really important to have these conversations because especially for like aspiring, like people who are wanting to start their own business, like whatever industry it's
Mm.
in, it's like, and I hate like saying this, like Instagram does always show like the really good parts of it. And
Oh,
it's
it
like we
fucking
all
does.
face
Yeah.
like our own unique challenges. And like both you and I have faced like very similar ones in that big story around like actually if you're not working hard, But like you said, Sarah, it's like if your values are freedom, travel, health, connection, right?
Mm.
Using some of my own as an example.
I was like, they're all mine too.
You and then you start your own business and you're not meeting any of those values, but you're wondering why things aren't working out, but you're working really hard. Well, it just makes sense. Like, of course, it's not going to work because
Yeah.
you're not living in line with your values. So you're not going to feel fucking fun and joy and like,
Mm.
any of those things. Like, so it is really important to keep at the front of your mind your values while you're working and you still are going to run in with these limiting beliefs. You're still going to fall off like, the path a little bit and go, oh shit, like I fucking like veered a bit here and I actually went
Yeah.
into that sacrificial energy. I need to come back. I think it's just about like clocking it really quickly and then
Mm.
coming back onto path. Yeah.
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 Values are just like so important. So anyone listening, if you're going to start your own thing, like go and sit down and like do up your values. There's like a website. I used it once, but I've only used it once, but there is actually a website that you can like go and like fill out and it tells you your values or something by like the way that you
Oh,
yeah, I can't remember what it's
I
called,
feel
but
like it sounds familiar to me too.
yeah, but I think it fills them out in alignment with how you show up in your life. So even
Mm.
writing down like what you value, what you think you value, and then doing that and like seeing the difference, I think can be really cool. Um,
Yeah.
I did it ages ago, but I can't fully remember what it's
I was
called.
gonna say because I was on I'm doing it. Oh, actually, you would be too, part of Rule Breaker.
Yeah.
Tay's course. Yeah. And were you on the call yesterday?
No, I had uni, but I watched it last night.
Yeah. I was gonna say because she's just like, what are your values? Like, not even like in your business, just in your life.
Yeah.
And then that. translates to your business. And it's
Yeah.
like, yes. So just like, again, anyone listening, if you're going to start a business, just sit and think about your values in life
Mm,
and then you can apply it.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
like
huge.
Tay is like the biggest preacher of this, but like always like looking at the human behind the business first. And it is
Mm.
so fucking true because like,
And you know what? Maybe it's Tay that's got me to this point so far because like I feel like, well, not just her, there's a few people that I watch and they're always like work on like yourself. And I feel like that's really like I see it a lot and then I reiterate it to myself. And that's where I've started to be so consistent with me.
yeah.
And now obviously results are coming
I
through.
remember like do you follow Didge? Like she's just like a
Yeah.
coach. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She always preaches like your body is your resume. And like,
Yes.
bitch, that fucking got me the first time I read it. I was like, God damn
Yeah.
it. I was like,
Like, here we are.
holy shit. Not gonna be getting any jobs anytime soon. My resume is not good. Like just like start like working on it. Do you know what I mean? Like it really just brought awareness.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you've been lazy. Like
Yeah. And
and
again, I think it's her and it's Tay and it's all of them that I'm just like, you, because you look at all these successful people and it's no surprise that they all are in great shape. They all value, you can tell they're healthy and they value that.
mm,
And like it comes through into their businesses because, and it's just an energetics thing again. It's like you can just tell
yeah,
that they value their health and themselves. And then it just makes you like them more. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Well, it's like
Yeah.
magnetic. It's like totally magnetic.
Mm,
Like they are actually living in alignment with their values. So of course you
mm,
can go to them to support you to also live in alignment with your values as well.
yeah.
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 Um, and
Yeah.
like even how you said like with you, like if you weren't eating good and like blah blah blah, then how could you be telling other people? And it's like literally the same as me. Like if I didn't know what phase of my cycle I'm in, how the fuck would anyone
Yeah.
want to pay me to like track this? You know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah.
whatever your industry is, like maybe you sell okay, okay.
I can't
Maybe,
even think.
no, okay, maybe you sell like fragrance-free like bath bombs or something, right? Like some fucking
Okay,
products that's
yeah.
like but if you're spraying perfume on yourself every day, that's so out of your values because you're
Mm,
like promoting a low tox like product for people to still enjoy like the scent of it from like natural stuff, but then you're spraying perfume, like if someone's gonna meet you, there's like there's something there that they're gonna be like, oh, hold on a second, like why would I buy this product? Because they're not gonna trust you because you're not even
mm,
practicing what you preach.
yeah.
Random example there, but like
Yeah.
you get the gist. Like if you like anyone, yeah, listening, I guess like if you are wanting to start a business or you've started one and you're like, oh my God, it just doesn't feel like it's working, or like even if it's a side hustle, like where are you like promoting a product and then doing the opposite of what you're telling other people? Because when there's
Yeah.
that mismatch, like it's felt, it doesn't and it's also it's exhausting. Like
Mm,
watch people get really successful really fast, then fall
yeah.
because they're not living in alignment with how they're presenting to the world. It's like a mask. Again, it's like it's a fucking
Mm,
mask. And so when you're actually authentic and you're just like doing the thing because it's actually genuinely what you love and blah blah blah, it's not exhausting. And that even ties back
yeah.
into like the oh business is like has to be hard. When you're living in alignment with your values and you're being
Yeah.
authentic, it actually isn't hard.
No.
Just stop making it hard.
Yeah, literally. And even like the opposite way I was just thinking is I feel like when I started my business, there's a lot of like coaches like you're not like you shouldn't be drinking. Like if you're healthy, like you shouldn't be allowed to have alcohol, like all the things. And I'm like, but like if I go for dinner with my partner, I'm like, we'll have a drink or two. I mean, he'll have more, but
Yeah.
I'm like, I like to have a couple. Like I won't write myself off, but I like to have a couple, but I always felt like I couldn't share that. And I felt like I was hiding a part of myself. And I'm like, you know what? It's actually like I would call it like a value, again, quotation marks, a value of mine, like to be able to go out for dinner and not stress about like, is this healthy? Have a drink and just enjoy myself. And then not worry that like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. It's like, well, actually, I want to do this.
Yeah, I'm
So I've
so
started to,
opposite.
yeah, I was gonna say, so like I will like, I mean, for full context, I won't like post about it on my like my business page, but I have a personal page that like is very public. It's like triple the amount of followers than my business page, but I'll post it on there. I'm like, I'm not hiding it.
Mm,
I still will go out to have a drink. Like
Yeah.
I love to have a drink. And I don't think, and I think trying to hide it at the start felt
Mm.
a bit exhausting, or like I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm not allowed to do this. Like no one can know, but they can.
Yeah.
I like to have a
And
drink if you want to
that's like
know.
the best. I think that's like the best thing that you've just brought in because this is something I've only been letting myself land in probably slowly over the past, I would even go like 3, 4 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
Going from being in like the health industry, right? And like t teaching women
Mm.
about their cycle and like being a holistic health practitioner and all the things. It's like the typical holistic health practitioner is a hippie, you
Yeah, I
know,
was gonna
dressing in hippie clothes.
drinks only water.
They drink their filtered water, which I mean, I'm a fucking water snob. I only drink filtered water, but like they do all these things and it's like this picture, like you can kind of put it in your brain and you're just like, this is what like she should look like.
Mm.
And so I really let myself be that person of like, I have to be a little bit weird. I have to be a little bit this. I have to be a little bit that. And I fully lost touch of myself, who, like, people who fucking know me from when I was like 19, 20, like, I used to love going out every weekend. I went to every
Yep.
festival. Like, I love that. And it was like I even stopped listening to like, I love like ASAP Ferg and like all of
Oh
that sort
my
of
God.
music, things like that, right? And I actually stopped myself and then I attracted people who shamed that lifestyle. So it played in, I built the evidence that
Yeah.
that sort of lifestyle's fucked and I rejected it a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing,
Yeah.
like the law of attraction. We're going to attract things to create evidence to keep us stuck. And that's exactly what I did. And then when I started working with Tay, and she was like, "You're so fucking cool. Like, why don't you show this?" Like, and I was like, "You're so right. Like, I actually love going out for a cocktail. I absolutely love going to festivals. I absolutely love going to concerts. I absolutely love just like having like, once every couple of months, just like,
Yeah.
just go and have like a big fucking night, like whatever." Um,
Mm.
and like that doesn't actually make me out of integrity. It makes me human.
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
landing in that the last few months for me has been the biggest fucking game changer because instead of shaming myself for potentially some weekends just going like, oh my God, like I'm just gonna get really like drunk and just have a good one and just like not even share it. Instead of that, and then like shaming myself for the next week, like, oh my God, I'm telling women to like be in alignment with their health, like, and I just like drank on the weekend and like I'm telling them not, you know what I mean? Instead of like playing
Yeah.
into that, it was just like, actually, I'm human.
Yep.
Fuck it. And like that is the coolest thing to land in. And I think that's like actually such like a piece of wisdom from both of us of like,
Yep.
you actually like these things, don't let them go. It's what makes you unique. And like
Yeah.
in that, now that I've like started harnessing that more on my socials, even like I was saying to Tay, like I'm like, fucking love designer clothes. Like I have like designer stuff. I just don't show anyone because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, like blah blah blah. As soon as I started landing in that, like I actually just love that shit and like love wearing makeup, like whatever, I can see the results because I'm being me, I'm being different, I'm being unique to who
Yep.
I am. And people are like, oh, like I can learn about my cycle from like a normal fucking chick who's like really cool, who will like go out for a cocktail with me, like, but equally like go
Yep.
ground every morning out in this like sunrise. Like, do you know what I mean? Actually have the duality.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
It's
think like allowing yourself to share it is
mm,
like the biggest like relief.
yeah.
It's like, fuck yeah. And I feel like when you share it, you don't have that next week of like, fuck, I shouldn't have done that. You're like, no, they know. Here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I'll just be on it, like it's just about it's like just it's almost self-honesty that it takes first, I think, because you have to like
Mm.
be honest with like I actually like this and like that like everyone can have their own belief, but you don't have to take it on.
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
it's like literally like the pinnacle of like internal power because you're just like I'm both. Like love it or hate it.
Yeah.
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 Oh, I
Yeah.
love this conversation. I feel like it's been
Oh,
so good because
yeah.
it's literally just like two chicks that run their own businesses, do all the things, but at the end of the day, we're literally just two chicks.
Yeah. And literally, I don't know why this just came to my head. I was just thinking about it. I was like, because we both said connection is a big value of ours. And it's like, how could we connect with clients, with anyone, if we didn't share ourselves?
Mm.
if we hit all those parts.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I'm like, I have some really fucking good relationships with my clients. And it's since I started to share all the things.
Yeah.
Since I stopped hiding anything. Yeah.
And it's
Not that
because
I was hiding, but
I know what you mean, but it's like you land
mm,
like landing in a deeper form of self-connection because you're like actually accepting that like, okay, the norm is like, a PT would be like working out at fucking 5 a.m. every morning, like having her green juice, blah, blah, blah. You
mm,
went from like, this is how I should be to like, I actually wake up a bit later, work, do my
yeah.
workout, go and have a drink, like whatever. Like you landed in
Mm,
like that and you've built that deeper connection with yourself because you've accepted it.
yeah.
And then like people feel it again, like coming back to that, like people feel it. Like if you're lying and you're like, oh, like I'm perfect every single day, like I get up at this time every single day, like it's making your clients feel like they're a piece of shit because no one really
No.
feels good
And
every
it's
single
I was
day.
gonna say this morning routine thing. I don't know who I was I talking about it with you? I was talking
Potentially.
about the morning routine. It was last week at some point, and I was like, mine, like you would think I'd be like up at 5 a.m. every day, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, actually, and which I tried to still have that again when I started my PT, like journey as a PT. But I'm like, my schedule's actually fucked. I'm
Yeah.
like, Monday morning, Tuesday morning, up at what time? 4:30. But then Tuesday, Wednesday night, I don't get home until 9 from work. So I'm like, I'm not gonna be fucking waking up at
Yeah.
5 a.m. Do you know what I mean? And like in my head, I was like seeing what other PTs were doing, and I was like, okay, it makes me wrong for not getting up
Yeah.
like that early. But I'm like, I'm fucking didn't get home till 9 o'clock at night.
We were
Like I'm
having
not
this
fucking getting
conversation
up.
last week
It was
because
us, yeah. Okay. I was
yeah,
like, I had
because
someone.
when we both got on the call, I was like, "Oh, I just had to smash my avocado toast," and you were like, "Oh, so was I." Like we were
Yeah.
both like kind of running a little bit like behind schedule, and we were just like having that conversation around like, "Oh my God, like sorry, I'm not fucking perfect and didn't get up at like 5
Yeah.
p.m. and have my juice and like go for my whatever." You know what I mean? Like we were having that conversation. Um, and that's
Mm.
what led us into like actually going like we need to have this conversation.
Yeah.
We realized like, oh my God, this is something like so many people need to hear because
Yeah.
like, and a lot of people on TikTok and Instagram and stuff will do like my 5 a.m. morning routine, but
Oh, I
guaranteeing that
know.
and that's so cool. Like, if that's actually what works for you every single morning, go for it. Because for myself, prior to, I've just like been going through like a lot this last like month and a half with just like grief and all the things. So my routines changed quite dramatically. But prior
Mm.
to that, my routine was 4:30 every morning, and that's actually what worked for me. But that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And like now that my routine's
Yeah.
shake up, that's not working for me. I'm getting up at like 6 or 7 because that's what my body needs in this season of life right now.
Mm. Yeah. And like literally it would change. I had a point of time when I was up at like 4 o'clock every morning.
Yeah.
But again, that was what worked for me back then. And obviously it can't work. I can't do that
Yeah.
every day now. Like I,
And I even found
mm,
myself actually, I think this is just like something to share because it's like, again, I'm just fucking human. In that process of me losing losing my routine and waking up later, I fell into, oh my God, like fuck, like that bit of shame of like, oh my God, like you've fucking lost yourself, Tanika. You've fallen off the bandwagon. Like one thing happened and your whole world's been crashing down. But actually what just happened was it was just a shift. It was just a
yeah.
shift. And like we, you know, if you're someone who wants to every single day get up at the exact same time, meditate at the exact same time, do your yoga flow at the exact same time, blah, 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 like that is all well and good. But like I know I'm not like
Mm,
that. And I know a lot of people aren't like that. And so it was coming into the acceptance of just like, I'm waking up a bit later, things are getting done a bit later, going to bed a little bit later than I normally do, but it's just what my body is asking right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also this is a little bit off topic. I'm in like a broadcast,
Hmm.
like a mentorship kind of broadcast. And the particular mentor, she was actually talking about morning routines and like, yes, it's nice to be like structured and rigid, but it's like if you're like exact same time, everything every single day, and then, for example, like me, last night went to a concert,
Mm.
didn't get to bed till 1 a.m. I wouldn't be waking up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And then it's like, how do you actually handle your day when you've not done that? Like, are you like, what's the word? Are you going about your day based on your morning routine, or is
Mm.
it something that you can change? Like, are you staying limited to that? Or I actually have a healthy enough relationship that you can adjust it and evolve it like as you need to.
Yeah. Because
Mm.
that's where like it's the same as like apply it to coffee. Like you go a day like a morning without coffee, or
Mm.
are you like relying all of your energy on it, putting all your eggs in one basket basically?
Mm.
But when it's taken away for a day, you lose your shit. Or like,
Mm.
when you go on a holiday, like you're gonna sleep in? Are you gonna lose yourself on your holiday and then feel
Yeah.
exhausted? It's like it's that's where you see like actually how your relationship is with yourself when those things because
Mm.
like honestly you cannot expect that every single day of your life. I mean, some people probably like actually do just work the same job, like blah blah blah, but like you can't expect every single day of your life to be just like
Mm.
straight down the line. Yeah.
Yeah. As nice
And
as it is.
yeah, that's
And
not
it's funny because I was going to say, even that whole thing about going on a holiday. So, like when I came up to the sunny coast the other week, or month, whenever it was, January, um, I came up on the Friday, like 6 a.m. flight. So we're up fucking early. And I had a huge day the day before. So I don't think I even got to bed till like 11. And then I was up at like 3 something. 6 a.m. flight, spent like obviously the whole day exploring the sunny coast, and then had Riley's event that night. And then the next morning, everyone was meeting up for coffee and a walk at like 7 a.m. And I was like, I would fucking love to do that. But my body actually physically cannot.
yeah.
I was like, I'm fucked from this day. And then again, by the time I got home from the event and the time I would have had to like wake up and then get there. And then on the Sunday, I already knew I had Tay's workshop. And I was like, I would love to go to this walk and like see everyone, but I was like, I'm actually just fucked, and I actually like my body's exhausted. Like it's like 4 hours sleep and a huge day. Like
Yeah.
it was, yeah. I had to honor that. I was like, no,
Yeah.
can't get up early, and it was
I
fine.
yeah, like
Yeah,
exactly. You didn't die.
yeah.
It's
I'm
fine.
still here.
I love that so much. It's like sometimes it's okay to just like actually just like take a step back and not like
Mm,
completely fuck yourself, basically.
yeah, yeah.
But I feel like we should start wrapping up this
I
conversation.
know.
It's
I was
been a while. I
20
just,
past 10. Far
yeah,
out.
I just checked the time and I was like, damn. Anyway, it was so good to have you on. I feel like this conversation
Yeah,
was just
thank you.
so
Yeah.
good. Like I just, all the directions we took it. And I think it's going to be really beneficial for people, like even like both of us,
Mm.
like say 5 years ago or something, when you're like
Oh,
in that
yeah.
process of like, do I want to study this? Do I want to do this? Like, even if you're just leaving school, it's like you're human. Allow yourself to
Yeah.
experiment, allow yourself to like change it up, whatever. But like, if you can start working on like what are your values and working on like shifting some beliefs that like your parents or whoever has put on you, it's going to be a more fast track journey than both of us have experienced, which I think is
Mm,
really cool and
yeah.
a sustainable one as well. Um,
Yeah.
but can you share where everyone can find you? And I'll leave it tagged below, of course.
Yeah. Yes, I'm super easy. I'm only on Instagram because I can't work any other bloody social platforms. Just on Instagram at Coached by Says.
Cool. And yeah,
That easy.
over there you have like all your links to like your courses and like working with
Yeah,
you and all the things, which I highly
everything's on there.
recommend go checking her out because I love how you just keep it really real. Like you're
Yeah.
just like the other day, that reel you posted when you got like stuck under the
Oh
what?
my God. I got stuck in the bloody Smith machine.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was always planning on post so that I just put on a story, but I've always been planning on posting on my page somewhere. Just haven't got around to it yet. But in my Elevate call last week, Sophia was like, don't be afraid to take up space and look silly. And I was like, fuck, let me tell you about this time I got stuck
Yeah.
in a Smith machine.
Yeah. So funny.
Oh,
So definitely go look for that reel when you go follow Sarah because it's so fucking hilarious. And I was like, God damn, that's me.
yeah. I'm like, even as a PT, I do
Yeah.
stupid shit.
Like my
Yeah.
brain doesn't work sometimes. I glitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for listening, and I'll be back in your ears next week. Yes, goodbye. Thank you so much for being a listener of the podcast. I love and appreciate you so, so much. And to show my appreciation and love for you, head on over to my Instagram at sacredspacew2nicolais. Jump in my DMs, let me know why you love the podcast, and I'll send you a little something special. See you next week.